Hey, what's going on, everybody? What's going on, everybody? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? How you guys doing? How you guys doing? I see we got a lot of people in here. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? I see you guys got the conversation going in here. I'm seeing some familiar faces. Seeing Kato. I'm seeing some other people in here. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? I think Charlie's talk. Are you guys talking about that dunk? Yeah. Okay. How you guys doing? So today we got a fun show for you guys. So let's just give it a few minutes here. Let's allow more people to get in here. So we've now decided that we're going to start scheduling these lives a little bit ahead of time to give people some time to kind of catch up to it. So that's what we're doing now. How you guys doing? Also say what's good to Marco. Marco's also in here. Where Marco at? Marco's in Italy, man. Marco's in Italy, but he's here with us. He's here with us. Yes, we're gonna have a fun live today. So make sure you say what's good to Marco. Marco's also in here again for you guys that missed the live chat yesterday during the game. For you guys that want a live chat for game, oh my God, what game is it? Game 5. If you guys want a live chat during game 5, make sure you guys go ahead and sign up to Dreamerspro Max. We got that. Marco's going to post that link in the description here, and he's going to pin it to the top. So on Dreamerspro Max, you can talk about basketball, chat live during these games, and so many cool things. So if you guys want to be a part of Game 6, make sure you go. Game 5, make sure you go ahead and sign up to Dreamerspro Max. Marco pin it to the top and get 7 days of access. So I'm sure you guys are going to enjoy that. Let's make sure you get the likes up too. Make sure you hit the likes on your way in. Let's give everybody a few minutes to kind of catch up to this live, and we're going to get it started. I got a great show for you guys today, man. A great show. You know, I like to keep it kind of calm before we start, and then once we get into it, we kind of ramp it up. So I think it's going to be a hell of a show today. It's going to be a hell of a show, hell of a show, hell of a show. So let's just give it a few minutes. Did you think Mike Conley could make an impact? Absolutely, I think he can make an impact. Okay, Marco just posted Dreamerspro Max there, so you guys see it there, so you guys can sign up if you guys want to for game. What is the game 5? And what is it? Make sure if you want to watch the game, make sure you sign up on time. So don't wait for like the last second and then sign up and then have some difficulties getting on there. Some people figure it out easily. Some people, it takes them some time. So give yourself some time to do that. Yeah, I definitely think Mike Conley would have an impact. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it that he would have an impact, but so would Kyrie Irving. So would James Harden. So would Anthony Davis. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the playoffs. People are healthy. Some people are unhealthy. This is nothing new. Like, it's nothing new. But I'm going to get to that in a second. I'm going to get to the Mike Conley thing in a second. So let's just wait for everybody to kind of sign up here. Let's wait for everybody to come on in. Make sure you guys hit the hey, yo, Mark, what's good? Make sure you guys hit the likes, and let's give it like another, let's say a minute and a half, and then we'll get it started. Let's just wait for everybody to come on in here. So let's see how you. So I'm wearing the Doc Rivers Clippers pink during the playoffs last year, so that's why I'm wearing this pink today. I said let me brighten it up a little bit. Hey, how you doing, Don John? How you doing, man? Yeah, Kawhi is crazy, man. Kawhi is crazy. Kawhi is crazy. Yeah, he's something else, man. You said Kawhi Leonard benched him. Yeah, Kawhi Leonard, man. You know what? I can't even say I'm surprised. Like when I saw him do what he did, to be honest with you guys, I'm not even surprised with Kawhi Leonard, man. I'm not. Paul George be surprising me. Kawhi Leonard does not surprise me, man. Like it was like when I was watching Kobe. Like I mean, Kobe was so good, like you just kind of expected it. So I'm not really surprised with Kawhi, man. I'm not. Yeah, Kawhi Leonard's dunk, man. And then his response to it when he was like, I don't know. Maybe I know Kawhi Leonard has a phone. We know that. But he goes like, yeah, I didn't even see it until Zubac came and showed me the reaction from Joel Embiid. Nah, come on, man. Oh, come on. Kawhi is a funny dude, man. He's just a funny dude. He a funny dude, man. So let's give it like one more minute. Let's make sure you hit the likes and then we get started. I got a very, very, very fun show for you guys today. So let's just give it like 30 more seconds and we get it going. Yeah, man, I saw the look on the Jazz faces, man. It was hilarious. It was hilarious. PG will win the Finals MVP if they make it to the chance. He has a good chance, man. And if he does, I will be celebrating for him. I mean, I think he could. I don't think they will give it to to him over Kawhi. I don't think there's any way that PG will play better than Kawhi Leonard in the finals. And it's also going to depend on who they match up with. You know what I'm saying? And that's going to be the first time that Paul George would have ever been on a stage like that to be in the finals. So, it'll be interesting, but he'll definitely have a shot. Okay, so I think we've pretty much waited as long as we could. Now it's time to get into the show, so let's get into it again. Let me just say it one more time for the people that are in here. Again, if you guys want to live chat for Game 5, make sure you guys go ahead and sign up to Dreamerspro Max. Marco's posted it to the top there. You get 7 days access, so it's free. So you guys can sign up to it and make sure you be a part of that if you want to chat, live chat for Game 5. So I've said that there. Marco's pinned that to the top. Okay, let's get it going. I got a good show for you guys today, man. Okay, so let me start off. First of all, I want to start off by talking about the media reaction, okay? This is what I want to talk about. So as I said, Kawhi Leonard, I want to start with Kawhi Leonard before we really get into the game. Let me just start off cracking some jokes real quick. So the media, their reaction to this whole thing has been really, really, really funny. It's been really funny. And I think a lot of people that picked against the Clippers right now are like confused because on the one hand, you've been picking against this team all season long. And then now the team is doing good and they don't know what to do with themselves. They're like, well, should we give them credit? Should we praise them? And then they'll think, oh, but Mike Conley's injured. Yeah, that's it. Do you think the Clippers can win? I just don't. It's like the media, they're just confused at they don't know what to say. So I was watching a segment on ESPN First Take with Stephen A. Smith, and I couldn't even watch the whole segment. Like, I just had to watch the beginning. So in the beginning of the segment, Stephen A. Smith and Max Kellerman are listening to Kawhi Leonard's comments after the game. And Kawhi's like, yeah, I don't care about going to the final, but what's the guy, this, that's not my goal. And then he goes, yeah, I don't listen to the whole outside world. And I didn't even know we were being criticized because I didn't even know. And then it cut to Stephen A. Smith's face. And Stephen A. Smith he's like, okay. And I was looking at Stephen A. Smith. And Stephen A. Smith looked so hurt. He was like, wait a minute. All of this talking, all of this yapping I've been doing, this dude is not even listening to me. Stephen A. Smith looks so hurt. He's like, wait a minute. So I have no effect on this guy. All of this bloviating and with the key that, like, Stephen, it must be tough, man. It must be tough. Let me tell you, The Game and Pharrell had a song like a number of years ago. I forgot, it was on a mixtape. And it had a song called "It Must Be Tough," and I'm not going to add curses. He was like, "It must be tough." Seeing us get things you can't get, riding down, like he's like riding in whips that you can't get, puffing out the window like it ain't. It must be tough. Like if you're just looking at Stephen A. Smith, he looks so hurt. He was like, "But so all of this talk," he's like, "I really don't matter to this dude. Like I really, really don't matter to Kawhi Leonard." He looks so hurt, man. It was just. He was like, okay, okay. Okay. I don't know what to say. I thought that was pretty hilarious, right? Because Kawhi just doesn't care, man. Kawhi just doesn't care. It must be a hilarious feeling. Like you out there saying all of this. You got Stephen A's World. You're doing all of these segments. And the dude that you're talking to doesn't even acknowledge, like he's not even acknowledging your existence in this universe. It must hurt Stephen A. Smith, man. It must hurt because usually when he calls out KD, it's about, KD will sit there and respond to him and all, but he's like, this Kawhi dude, man, he don't care about me. It must be funny. Now, let me just say this real quick about Stephen A. Smith, man. Stephen A. Smith be saying some of the most ridiculous things. So they asked him about Kevin Durant. Yo, let me just tell you. Okay, I haven't started the video yet, but let me just kind of get this out. So they asked him about Kevin Durant in Game 5. And Stephen A. Smith, how he goes. He's like, so what do you think about the chances of the Brooklyn Nets? And he was like, well, KD, he's the best player in New York basketball history. He got to go for 50 because if he doesn't go for 50, then I'm like, yo, what? What are you talking about? They're playing against one of the best teams in the East. He doesn't have any star power. And he goes, you got to get me at least one. You got to get me at least one. And I'm like, yo, what is wrong with you? You're talking about KD like as if KD is not that dude. He doesn't have help. He's playing against a defensive player of the year, two-time MVP, playing against Chris Middleton, who's an all-star, playing against Drew Holiday. He doesn't have Kyrie Irving. He doesn't have James Harden. He's playing with Joe Harris, Blake Griffin, who could barely dunk 2 years, who didn't dunk a basketball in 2 years, Jeff Green, and you talking about KD is supposed. So okay, hold up. So help me understand this. So if KD goes and drops 50, and then his teammates don't get enough buckets, so what? KD is not the man. Steven, now I see why people, now I see why people be coming for this dude, man. He just be saying anything out there. He the one that said this guy's better than Karl Malone. So I just have to get that off my chest. I had to get that off my chest. Anyway, so back to the game. So going into the game, I said the Clippers would have to focus on two things. That's what I said yesterday at the end of that live. I said they would need to focus on two things. One of them was they would have to try to contain Donovan Mitchell early in the game. You guys remember I said that. We had the live on the channel. We just posted it yesterday. And then I also said the Clippers need to make shots because of the way that this Utah Jazz team plays. They take a lot of threes and they make a lot of threes. Yesterday, to give you guys, to kind of summarize for you guys what I'm saying, let me tell you, I have the box score here. Let me tell you how many shots the Utah Jazz take. I have it right here. Take from three. So yesterday, the Utah Jazz attempted 42 threes. Here's something interesting. Donovan Mitchell attempted 15 3-point shots. 15. When Donovan Mitchell is going to score. You're going to score if you're going to shoot the three 15 times. You don't even need to make six. If you make 4 or 5 of them, right there, that's like 18 points right there. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15 points right there. Donovan Mitchell and these guys are going to take a lot of threes. I was actually surprised at the number of threes that Donovan Mitchell took. Donovan Mitchell reminds me of Dwayne Wade with a 3-point shot, basically. But the Clippers started off the game and they were focused on those two things. So, first of all, let me talk about how they started the game. In all of the games that I've watched the Clippers play in these playoffs, this was the best start to any game this team has ever played in these playoffs. This was their best start. The Clippers came out of that game, came out in the first quarter, and they were attacking. I have never seen them come out that focused, being the aggressors in the first quarter. Usually it will take them like 1 or 2, 3 minutes to kind of get into the game or whatever it is. They usually start games slow. That's usually the reason why they get down, they get behind in games. And usually when you're playing against the Utah Jazz, who always come out with a lot of energy, looking to attack, looking at, score a lot of points, they can get a lead on you and you have to play catch up. That's exactly what happened in game 3. Game 3, I think the Clippers they started the game. They scored 2 points and the Jazz had 10 points. So I was very, very happy that they came out aggressive in the first quarter and they started off the game right. They did a very good job on Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell in that first quarter only had 3 points. He only had 3 points, but I knew he was going to get going because a guy that shoots that much, that shoots those many threes. I got to say something about these 3-point shots. I got to say something about this. And maybe some NBA player, maybe some people that watch these this on our lives, maybe you guys are basketball players, maybe, who knows, maybe there's an NBA player that probably watches these videos. Maybe you guys can let me understand something in the comment section. I mean, in the live chat here. There's something I got to understand. A 3-point shot. I think a 3-point shot is a shot. I think it's 25 feet or 23 feet is a 3-point shot. A 3-point shot is worth 3 points, whether if you're taking it 1 step behind the line, 3 feet behind the line, or 5 feet behind the line, or 8 feet, is worth the same amount of points. Last time I checked, it's not like as if the further out you go, it's worth more. It's not like as if they have a 4-point shot. And my question is, maybe some basketball players or whatever it is that are watching this live right now could probably explain to me. Hey, welcome to the channel. Can explain to me how is it? Why would you take threes from so far away when we all know you have a higher percentage of making the shot the closer you are to the basket? Why would you take threes so far away? I was looking at some of Donovan Mitchell's shots and I'm like, this is a bad shot. Like you're pulling up from so far away near the logo, like really, really far out. And I'm like, are these good shots? Really, are these good shots? Now, Stephen Curry and Damian Lillard can make them, but it doesn't make sense because the closer you are, you're going to increase your percentage. And it's already hard to shoot 40% from the three. So you're stepping out even further back to shoot those long threes. I just don't know if those are smart shots, but it seems to be a part of the game. And I don't know. I don't know how that makes sense, really, to be quite honest with you. I get if you want to be a 3-point centric team, I get that. But taking those long threes, I don't understand it. Maybe it's for shock value and you're doing it to get the crowd, to kind of show off. But I don't see how that really helps you. I don't see how that's a good shot, to be quite honest with you. But they do it anyway. Then in that first quarter, something else happened. Marcus Morris Sr. finally showed up again. Yesterday, if you remember, during the live, I said, Paul George will need to get off to a good start. He would need to score at least 25 to 30 points because I said I wasn't sure whether or not Marcus Morris Sr. was going to show up. This was one of the reasons because he's been inconsistent these entire playoffs. Marcus Morris in that first quarter, he had 12 big points and he hit 3 3-pointers. So Marcus Morris was huge in that first quarter, and he was one of the people that helped the Clippers get off to that good start and build that lead that ultimately they never lost. And at one point, the Clippers held them to like 13 points for like 8-9 minutes in the quarter, and I was just like, what is going on here? And the people were saying, well, the Jazz were not trusting in themselves. That's what the coach was saying. I'm like, bro, it has nothing to do with trust. These guys are playing great defense. Give them some credit. I feel like when the Clippers do something, it's always something else. It's like, okay, a revelation. It's not. It can't be that they're good. No. It can't be that. It has to be some other reason. Like they have a good quarter. No. It's not that they're good. Is that, some of the Jazz players forgot to put on their socks or something like. It always has to be something else with the Clippers, which I don't understand. Then PG got going. Paul George started getting cooking. And in that first half, Paul George finished that first half with 15 points. Paul George was balling. As you guys can clearly see, the Utah Jazz do not have the personnel to deal with the Clippers when Paul George is playing well. They simply don't. They don't have they don't. These guys are it looks like as if they're banking on the fact Paul George won't play well. So if he's not going to play well, we can key in on Kawhi. But when Paul George is playing well, their defense is always in scramble. They can't deal with this. You can't guard Paul George, 6'7", 6'8", coming off those screens, pulling up for three. You can't guard this dude. You see him coming down in a break with an in and out dribble, pull up, go to the left, pull up for three, splat. You can't do nothing with this dude. Paul George was big. Then my man Kawhi Leonard, who y'all know is my favorite. Kawhi Leonard, the dude that I guess he's just. Kawhi Leonard scored 19 points in that first half, and then he pulled off the dunk. I think that was the best dunk of the playoffs. Kawhi Leonard turned that corner and baptized the entire Utah Jazz coaching staff, the owner, the representatives, the people the guy that drove the bus. He just straight up snatched their souls out of them with that dunk. Yeah, Deuce to Don, I see you, man. I see you believe it. Yeah, Deuce to Don, he's also on Dreamerspro Max. Thanks for that. He's a huge Paul George fan. When he pulled off that dunk, I was like, yo, what are you going to do with this dude? What are you going to do with him? At that point, I think the Utah Jazz, because I saw the faces of Donovan Mitchell and all of these dudes, they were like, yo, there's nothing we can do with these dudes out here, man. Y'all talk about hitting threes. You got this dude putting dudes in the rim. Kawhi Leonard, when he dunked on him, I think Kawhi Leonard wanted to send him a message like there's levels to this. I know that y'all are saying Donovan Mitchell is better than Karl Malone, but there's levels to this. It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. 2019 Yeah, PG has been PG has been amazing. Thanks for that, Max. Yeah, he just been baptizing. So Kawhi Leonard pulls out that dunk, and he completely disrespected the souls of the Utah Jazz. Even Donovan Mitchell was looking at him like, "Yo, there's nothing we can do with these people. There's nothing we can do with these people. What are you gonna? Who are you gonna put? What are you gonna do with Kawhi Leonard at that point?" Ty Lue is also an X Factor dude. Is coaching this team. Oh, thanks for that, Candace. Don't worry, we got a video coming out later today. We got two. Okay, real quick, we got two videos coming out today. One of them is going to be on Ty Lue, and another one is going to be on Paul George. No, the other one's going to be on the team. So we got two great videos that are coming out today. So you guys want to definitely hang around the channel because we got some great content coming later. So we got 3 pieces of content dropping today. So definitely hang around the channel after this live. We got some great content on the way. So be on the lookout for that. And we will be touching on Ty Lue. You don't want to miss that video. Thanks for bringing that up. And in that first half, listen, the Clippers totally destroyed them, and they were up 24 points. They were up 68-44 in the first half. And I was like, this is unbelievable. So in the second half, the Utah Jazz started to make a run, which I expected. They started to get rolling in that second half. In that third quarter, the Jazz ended up hitting, 5 3-pointers in that third. So they generated 3, 6, 9, 12, 15 points alone in the third quarter from hitting threes. But as we all know, the Utah Jazz they're going to keep shooting threes. They're going to keep shooting threes. This is the reason why I've been saying the Clippers need to make shots. Usually, when those Jazz players were scoring those threes, it was off of missed shots. When it was in transition. The Clippers, when they're dialed in and they're playing defense, it's hard to score on them when in a set defense. And also, I forgot to mention it. Let me talk about Patrick Beverley. We haven't seen much from Patrick Beverley, but let me tell you something. Patrick Beverley is a dog, man. Y'all saw the 2 blocks he had on Donovan Mitchell at the end of the first half. Listen, this Clippers team, let me say it again. This Clippers team, when they're mentally dialed in and they're focused and they're looking to attack and they're out there to prove a point, they're one of the hardest teams to beat, especially one of the hardest teams to score on. You're beginning to see why this small ball lineup is the most dangerous lineup in the NBA. It is the most dynamic lineup. It's not the most offensive. It's not the most potent lineup as far as we're talking about offense, because that lineup belongs to the Brooklyn Nets when they're fully healthy. You have 3 players that can go out there on any given night and give you 80 points. They're the most explosive offense. But if we're talking about a dynamic two-way offense, two-way team, two-way starting lineup, that Clippers starting 5, they're lethal. And when you can bring out Reggie Jackson and put in Patrick Beverley, it's really tough to score on this team. People see, this is what annoys me sometimes about the media. The Clippers get a 24-point lead on the Utah Jazz in the first half, and people are up there talking about Mike Conley. Help me understand something. What does Mike Conley have to do with the fact that these guys are playing fantastic defense? It always got to be something else. What's your reaction that Kawhi Leonard posted? Yeah, I said, hey, thanks for that, Angel. No, I said he just completely snatched their souls out of them. He was like the Reaper. He was just gobbling dudes up after that. And then I think once Kawhi Leonard pulled off that dunk, they knew this was the best play. Like, there's nothing you can do with this dude. There's nothing you can do with him. But anyway, as I was saying, it always has to be something else. It can't be that they play great defense. For goodness sakes, give them some credit. When they play poorly, you say they're not mentally tough. When they play well, you say, oh, they got lucky. Which one is it? I get tired with that sometimes. And these commentators, they're the ones that are usually driving that narrative. So the Utah Jazz started to make a run in that third, but the Clippers kept on holding on to that. They kept on holding on to the lead. And while we were on Dreamerspro Max chatting, for those of you guys who don't know, Dreamerspro Max is where we live chat during games and talk about basketball, all this cool stuff. Again, if you guys want to be a part of Game 5, make sure you guys go ahead and sign up to Dreamerspro Max. Marco's pinned it to the top there. So you guys can sign up to that to be able to chat with us on Game 5. Anyway, we were on Dreamerspro Max, and I said we were chatting, and I think it was with Candace or somebody I said to, but there was a bunch of us on there. And I said to myself, I said, wait a minute. This team is not the same team from last year. This Clippers team is not the same team from last year. I've been saying this all season. People think, it sounds like a broken record. Folks, this Clippers team is not the same team it was last year. People are living in 2020. It is a fresh year. It is 2021. People are still living in last year. I think it's a bunch of wishful thinking that's going on here. That's all it is. It sounds like to me. It's a bunch of wishful thinking. I'm late. Do you talk about Kawhi Leonard's knee injury? Should we be concerned? I wouldn't be concerned with it. Kawhi is going to play. Thanks for that. I wouldn't, because Kawhi is going to play. There's no way Kawhi Leonard's not going to play. Kawhi Leonard was hobbling through the 2019 playoffs, and he played then. He will play definitely. Don't worry about that. Thanks for that. Anyway, I was saying to myself, this can't be the same team. People are still talking about the bubble. We're not in the bubble anymore. People are still referring to the bubble. It's unreal. It's like as if the Clippers went into that playoffs and people want to kind of like encapsulate them in like a y'all saw Dragon Ball Z, like a hyperbolic time chamber where time doesn't move or it barely moves. And it's like, bro, that was going on a year and a half ago. If this was a team of last year, they would have blown that lead. They would have. They would have. Last year's team, they would have given up that lead. They refused to let the Utah Jazz get back in that game. The Utah Jazz were making a run. I think they cut it down to 14. And the Clippers said no. They said no. And that has a lot to do with the coaching. That has a lot to do with what they went through in the first round of the playoffs. And that has a lot to do with what happened last year in the bubble blowing that 3-1 lead. We forget about that. Emotional trauma can linger. It's something you can carry with you and motivate you in the future. If you've been doubted or something bad happened, you can always tell yourself, I'm not going to allow this to happen again. Maybe there's that at play too. Who knows? So I was surprised that they refused to let the Jazz back in the game. Then I remember something else. All the teams that had success in the bubble last year are all home right now. Wow, is that true? Well, the Heat are home. The Lakers are home. Yeah, it's true. It's true. Most of those teams are home right now. But I got another point I want to I want to mention. Thanks for that. I got another point I want to get to here. This is the point I want to get to. And we still got a lot more show to go. So trust me, you guys don't want to miss what we got coming up. Make sure you hit the likes, by the way, guys, so more people get notified. We got a lot more I want to give you guys. There's a point I want to get to here. As I was thinking all of this, I remember something from game one. I remember that in game one, I think it was in the third or fourth quarter, if I'm not mistaken, Donovan Mitchell made a comment about the Clippers. He said that they just come off of a 7-game series, and trust me, these guys, they're going to quit. They're going to give up. They're going to quit. That's what Donovan Mitchell said about the Clippers. Some people said they hope that soundbite or that video was shown to the Clippers players. He said that they were going to quit. They were front running. Even Shannon Sharp came on TV after game one. Yes, I told you, they quit. They quit. They quit. They quit. Cool. Help me understand something. Last night, it sure looked like to me that the Utah Jazz quit. It looked like the Utah Jazz quit. Help me understand something here. Help me understand something. Let me get a little bit deep with you guys. I still got a lot more I want to get into. Help me understand something. We go into this series. People picked the Jazz to win. Almost everyone, with the exception of Skip Bayless. Chris Broussard doesn't seem like he's quite sure yet. People picked the Jazz to win. After game one, people kept picking the Jazz to win. After game two, people kept picking the Jazz to win. In game one and game two, what happened? The Clippers were fighting with the Jazz. They couldn't even beat the Clippers by double digits in Utah. Game one, I think they lost by 5 points. Game two, they lost by 6 points. or 8 points or whatever it was, 6 points. You mean to tell me the team that's better than the Clippers couldn't even make a run to pull the game within 5 points? They couldn't even take a lead in that game after the Clippers came off of a 7-game series, went to Utah and did that twice, and you couldn't even do that in LA, not even once? No, I think y'all quit. I think the Utah Jazz quit. I think the Utah Jazz is showing a lot of mental weakness right now. I think we need to start talking about the psychological state of some of the Utah Jazz. Help me understand something here. Help me understand something here. The Utah Jazz, they blew a 3-1 lead last year in the playoffs. Nobody's asking anything about their mental state or the players. No one. No one about them being mentally tough. The same thing happened to the Clippers. Now everybody wants to psychoanalyze the Clippers. What is going on here? I just thought that was funny. That the team that you said was going to throw in the towel picked up that same towel and was beating the hell out of you guys with it. They was flogging those dudes on the court. I thought that was funny, and I thought it was interesting. The team that you said was going to quit is the one that you couldn't even make a run on to get the game within even 5 points. And then at the end, you want to raise up your hand and call for for Mike Conley and say Mike Conley is the one that's going to save us. So wait a minute. I didn't hear anybody mention Mike Conley in game 1 and 2. Game 1 and 2, you said they were going to quit. Game 1, y'all was clapping it up and pumping your chest and blah, 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 blah. What happened to that? This is why it's not good to be a show-off, because there's always going to be your day under the sun. They was acting like as if they won the championship. Now look what happened. 1 second. In my opinion, whoever wins game 5 is going to win this series. I agree with you. I agree with you, and I'm going to get to that. So I thought that was pretty funny. That now Mike Conley is the missing piece. That's hilarious. Even Shaq was like, yo, cut it out. Cut it out. You guys love making excuses. When the team was up, nobody brought up Mike Conley. Now when they've lost 2 games, they need Mike. So which one is it? If you guys notice, I never talk about injured players on the clip. Serge Ibaka is a starter. He has back surgery. He's gone. I'm not bringing him up. Why? Because injuries are part of the playoffs. Other teams have been injured. So if other teams are playing with injured players, why are you telling me about your problems? It's like you have a friend that all he can do is tell you about his problems. Like, bro, I'm not. It's like, I know you have problems. All of us have problems. I'm not interested in hearing about just your problems. We all have them. So that whole Donovan Mitchell thing, that whole Mike Conley thing, good luck with that. Now let me keep going. This is the problem that the Utah Jazz are having. One of the problems. They can't slow down Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. This is one of the problems that they're having. The Mavs won game 5 and the Clippers still won that series. The Clippers go against the narratives. Yes. Good point, Candace. This is the point. Paul George is the Clippers' X factor. Just that simple. When Paul George plays well, this team is virtually unbeatable. When Paul George plays well, the Jazz players, I'm talking about on defense, they cannot key in on the Clippers when their stars are going. When Paul George struggles, it allows them to kind of key in on other players because he's struggling. He's going to be missing layups, missing threes, and all. So he's not really a factor at that point. But when he plays well, the defense always has to be honest. You can't load up on Paul George. You can't load up on the other players, which allows other players like Marcus Morris Sr., Nicholas Batum, Reggie Jackson, and these guys to get going. Paul George is the X factor. I would dare say that even when Paul George plays well, he provides more spacing on the floor because you can't cheat on anybody. You got to play your man and allows him basically to play one-on-one, which means that Kawhi Leonard can play one-on-one. The Clippers finished the game. The Clippers have a lot of efficient shooters. The Clippers on their starting lineup, they have about 4 players that can shoot about close to roughly 40% from the 3. Last night in game 4, the Clippers finished the game with 5 players hitting at least 1 3-pointer. 5 players that hit at least 1. And most of those dudes came from that starting lineup. So going into Utah, Going into Utah, I got a few things I want to say. We got a lot more I want to get to. Going into Utah, I think the Utah Jazz have been listening to the media. I really believe this. I think the Utah Jazz have been drinking the Kool-Aid. I think the Utah Jazz, for whatever reason, I think that the Utah Jazz are focused on what they can do as a team, but they're not focused on what the Clippers can do to them. Yes, yeah, good point, Edwin. Thanks for that. They're not focused about what the Clippers do. If you listen to a lot of these analysts, if you listen to a lot of them kind of analyze these games, how often do you hear them talk about Kawhi Leonard or Marcus Morris Sr.? Listen to the general analysis of these games. They're always talking about what Donovan Mitchell is doing. They're always talking about what the Jazz are doing, how many threes they can take, and all of these different things. And I'm sure the Utah Jazz are listening to these things, but they're not paying attention to what the Clippers can do to them. I think the Jazz believed their own hype that we're going to come into this thing, to use Donovan Mitchell's words, they're going to give up, they're going to quit. I think they believe what the media thought. And I think the Jazz are starting to get a rude awakening that this Clippers team is no joke. Off topic, some are saying Rondo was no show last night. Why well, I can understand. Thanks for that. I can understand Rajon Rondo not playing for one particular reason. Probably because he can help you offensively. I mean, he can help you defensively. He can help you organize your offense, but he doesn't provide the spacing that Reggie Jackson does. Probably, and I don't think he's as good an on-the-ball defender as Patrick Beverley, who is a pest. Boogie can't play in a series. The Clippers don't need to play any bigs. Now, I heard he wasn't at the game. I don't know. I think a lot of that is speculation. I don't know. Maybe he was sick. Who knows? Maybe. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't read too much into that, number one. And number two, okay, somebody said Rondo was on the bench. Okay, exactly. And listen, Clippers have won these last two games, so I wouldn't focus too much on, Rajon Rondo. They've been playing well without him so far. So, yeah, back to what I was saying. Thanks for that. Back to what I was saying. I think the Jazz are focused on what they're doing, and they're not focused enough on what the Clippers can do. This is a problem that they're having. This is why a lot of these media people are stumbling and bumbling over their words on a daily basis. They don't know what to say about the Clippers. You know why? Because they've spent close to zero time actually analyzing the Clippers. All they're focused on is calling Donovan Mitchell better than Karl Malone, calling the Utah Jazz the next coming of the Golden State Warriors, all of these different things. And they're not focused on the fact that Kawhi Leonard has been the best player in the Western Conference all playoffs long. Nobody's talking about that. Nobody wants to talk about the fact that Kawhi Leonard is shooting like 56% from the field. He has similar efficiency numbers to Joel Embiid. Nobody wants to talk about that. Instead, they want to talk about all of these other things that the Utah Jazz are doing. They've been doing that, and now look what happened. Another thing I want to say. The Utah Jazz will lose Game 5. Hear me out clearly, and I'm going to say it here. The Utah Jazz will lose Game 5 if they do not find a way to slow down Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. People are talking about Donovan Mitchell. Guys, basketball is a two-way game. The Utah Jazz, I'll repeat it again, if they do not find a way to slow down Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, they are going to lose Game 5, and they're going to be sent home in 6 games. People can keep playing. I think a lot of people feel like they're in a mirage right now. I think a lot of people believe that what they're seeing is not really happening. A lot of people are, I can see from the comments, from what people are saying, people are having a lot of wishful thinking right now. They believe, oh, no, this is not really happening. Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, they're not really playing like that. Kawhi Leonard, he's not really that good. No. This coaching staff, this Clippers team, they really don't know what they're doing. Keep telling yourself that you don't want to face reality. Keep feeding yourself whatever makes you feel good. If they don't find a way to slow down, I don't care if Chris Paul plays. People are talking about Connolly. If Chris Paul plays, they will still beat them. Mike Conley is not good enough. He's not enough of a difference maker to slow down Kawhi. People, again, Your analysis is only one-sided. You're only focusing on what you're going to do. Conley will play. Conley, what does Mike Conley playing have anything to do with slowing down Kawhi Leonard and Paul George? It has nothing to do with it. These two things have nothing to do with one another. It's not like as if you're talking about Mike Conley, some type of Mike Conley is definitely going to help their offense, which in a way will kind of help their defense because they make more shots. But that still has nothing to do with the fact that Kawhi Leonard and Paul George can score on any Jazz player at any moment that they want, especially when they're hot. There's no one individual Jazz player that you can put on Paul George or Kawhi Leonard and say, stick him for a game and actually make a difference. There's no one. If that player existed, he would have done it already. People are talking about Paul George. Paul George's number one problem is not what the Utah Jazz are doing to him. It has everything to do with his mental focus. If Paul George is dialed in and he's aggressive, there's nothing the Utah Jazz can do with him. People are living in a dream. They were dreaming in round one. Now they're sleepwalking in round two. People are still dreaming. If they keep overlooking Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, they're going to make you pay, and they're going to beat the brakes off of the Jazz in Game 5. I'm saying it now so nobody will be surprised. If you like, you can bring back Mike Conley. It won't make a difference. It won't. If you don't figure out a way to slow down Paul. Okay, I think a lot of people are using emotion when they talk. Let me give you guys some numbers because I feel like a lot of this is emotional. In the last two games, the Clippers have scored 250 points on the Jazz. 250 points on the Jazz. I don't think they can slow down PG and Kawhi because Ingles and Favors don't have the quicks. Exactly. Thanks for that. No. Tori, no. What you're saying, no. You know what, Tori? What Tori just said, he's talking about something he's watching on a Netflix. He's not talking about what's really happening out here. This is reality. People don't want to, no, it's nothing. Like Ty Lue doesn't know what, no. These guys don't know what they're doing. Like Nicholas Batum and Marcus Morris Sr., he didn't really do that yesterday. That didn't really happen. The Clippers have scored 250 points on the Jazz in two games. Of those 250 points, Kawhi Leonard and Paul George have accounted for 127 of the 250 points scored on the Jazz. Y'all are talking about something else that is irrelevant. Paul George and Kawhi Leonard are the Utah Jazz's problem right now. Not Mike Conley. Go look at the stat sheet. They are destroying these dudes. Game 3, they scored 165 points together. Game 2, they scored 62 points together. And people are surprised. Marcus Morris Sr. hit his shots. Of course he'll hit his shots when the defense has to deal with Paul George going off and Kawhi Leonard going off. Of course he's going to have all the spacing in the world. They're trying to figure out how to slow down these guys. That's their problem. People are talking about Mike Conley. If you like, keep talking about it. We'll be talking about it when the Jazz players are going to be talking about it at home if they continue thinking like this. Seriously, when the Clippers play their game, I personally believe that they're better than the Jazz. I 100% believe it. I believe that the Clippers are definitely the more mentally tough team than the Jazz. I believe that the Clippers are the mentally toughest team in the playoffs remaining. I believe Ty Lue is the mentally toughest coach remaining in these playoffs. If people think this is a joke, if the Clippers go tomorrow to Utah and people are there hoping and wishing for Mike Conley, instead of focusing on what you can actually control, people are wondering about Mike Conley. You're focusing on a guy that's not even playing. Focus on the thing you know. Don't focus on the unknown. People are wasting all their time focusing on the unknown. If Mike Conley comes back, who's to say he's going to play well? This is my whole point. People are focused on Conley like as if it has any impact on what the Clippers are doing. If they mess around and allow Paul George to go for another 30 game, the Clippers are going to win that game. I'm saying it now. They're going to win that game. And I have a feeling that they're going to win game 5 for this reason. Yes, Batum is an unsung hero. But no, Batum, thanks for that, Ken. No, Batum is the guy that Nick Rice said was laughing at the beginning of the season. Y'all remember? He was laughing at the Clippers for picking up Nicholas Batum. He was laughing at him. Oh, Nicholas Batum, they're going to resurrect Nicholas Batum. What do you expect from Nicholas Batum? Well, Nick Wright's been quiet these days. Christian says the Clippers don't have Ibaka. I'm not even focused on it. We're not on this. I'm not even focused on the excuses. Yeah, Serge Ibaka's not there, but if they lose, nobody's going to mention anything about Serge. They're not going to mention anything about Serge. I have a feeling the Clippers are going to win Game 5 for this reason. This is just my opinion, and I may need to change my pick. I think I'm going to change my pick right now. I was saying that the Clippers will win this game in this series in 7. I think the Clippers are going to win this series in 6 games. For this reason, I believe that the Utah Jazz have not shown the ability to slow down Kawhi Leonard and Paul George when they're both playing. I think that they have definitely made a major mistake by allowing Paul George to get a rhythm in this series. I think that is a major mistake. I think the Utah Jazz had a very good shot if Paul George was up and down. I think this is a huge mistake. By allowing Paul George to gain his confidence, by allowing him to gain his confidence, I think that's going to hurt. I think it's going to hurt them. Because if Paul George is in his bag in Game 5 and he's rolling, and the Clippers get a lead on that team, they're not going to lose it. That's not going to happen. If you like, you can bring out Magic Johnson. It's not going to happen. I think Paul George has a very good chance of catching a rhythm. And I think that the Clippers are just a mentally tougher team than the Jazz. I just believe so. I've never seen Kawhi Leonard make a mistake and go punch the Gatorade crate or kick a chair. That shows me something. It shows me that you can be rattled. That's what it shows me. It shows me that you can be rattled. If the star player is doing that, it shows me that you can be rattled. That you really can't handle adversity. Because when something happens like this, people are talking about Mitchell owns PG. Guys, let me give you guys Kawhi Leonard and Paul George stats. People are there talking, living their dream. Paul George in the second round is averaging 25.7 points per game, 6.8 rebounds, and 3.3 assists versus the Jazz in the playoffs. This is in his career. In the last 2 games, he's averaging 30 against them. Kawhi Leonard, I don't even think I need to waste my time even talking about it. But again, I'll talk about it anyway. Kawhi, again, for these playoffs is still averaging 30. All he's doing is shooting 57% from the field. People are talking about Conley, whatever. He's shooting 40% from 3, 88% from the free throw line, 7.7 rebounds, 4.4 assists. Y'all know Kawhi Leonard is almost averaging 3 steals a game? 3? Let me say this. If they allow Paul George to get hot in Game 5, this series is over in 6. I don't believe that the Clippers are going to take their foot off the neck of this team. I don't believe so. And I know that the Phoenix Suns must be shaking in their boots to face this Clippers. You don't want to meet this team. Not this team. They haven't even been playing their nasty players, meaning they're rough, they're rough ride. They haven't even started playing them. They haven't played Boogie yet. They haven't really played Rondo yet. Like, you don't want to see this team. Utah better win Game 5. All the pressure is on the Jazz. I don't want to hear nothing about the Clippers. The pressure's on the Jazz. They better win Game 5. They are in trouble if Paul George gets hot. Not to get off topic, but Harden is playing today. Okay, great. If Harden plays today, I think they have a shot. That's good for them. If they get past the second round, Kawhi ain't going nowhere. I think they got to get to the finals. Personally, I think Kawhi Leonard needs to get to the finals, in my personal opinion. I think Kawhi Leonard needs to get to the finals. Thanks for that. But yeah, this is my thought. And I'm going to change my pick. Originally, I was picking the Clippers to win in 7, which means that they'll probably have to win. They would have to win 1 game on the road. And I think that the game that they're going to win on the road is going to be Game 5. This is my pick. Some people are still kind of flip-flopping. I'm going to change my pick, and I'm going to change it to 6 games. It's no longer going to be the Clippers in 7. I'm changing it to 6. That's what I believe. And if I'm wrong, so be it. But that's what I believe. I'm picking the Clippers in 6 to win this series. So again, if you guys want to live chat for game 5 tomorrow, make sure you guys go and sign up to Dreamerspro Max. Marco's posted that to the top, the comment section there. You can get 7 days of access, so you guys can definitely sign up to Dreamerspro Max. Once again, thanks all of you guys for being a part of this live. I see we had a lot of fun. 500 plus people in here. We really appreciate that. Also, be on the lookout for the videos that we have coming out later today on the channel. So make sure you guys go ahead and check that out. Deuce to Don Kennard has been understated. Great player this is. Absolutely. But you got to give credit to Lawrence Frank and these guys for drafting him. Absolutely. Thanks a lot for that. Dante one. Paul George doesn't have Russell Westbrook for this series. He has a chance. This is very true. Let me tell you something. No disrespect to Russell Westbrook, but any honest fan, if we're asking you the question, do you think Russell Westbrook is an amazing Hall of Famer? Absolutely. If I ask the same fans, would y'all want Russell Westbrook to be the point guard on a championship team? I guarantee you the majority of you guys are going to say no. Nobody wants Russell Westbrook as being their primary decision maker. First of all, Russell Westbrook is not even efficient. He can't make free throws, which is unbelievable to me, as talented as he is. So Russell Westbrook, when that's the guy that's making the decisions for your team, you can't win. He's a great player, but I don't think he's going to win you a champion. That's just my opinion. That's just my opinion. So once again, I thank you guys for that. Thank you guys for being a part of this live. We really appreciate that. And we'll definitely catch you guys on the next one. Thank you guys so much. We had a lot of fun, and catch you guys on the next one. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.